Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my room tours. This is going to be the second one, part 2 of 2 I guess. The first one being my embroidery room tour. I just put it out. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's the same format where it's a 360-degree video and you can pan around, you can look around while I kind of walk you guys through my setup and kind of why I have certain things where and everything like that. So feel free to check that out. As a reminder, like I said, this is a 360-degree video. If you're on the phone or a tablet or something portable, you should be able to use that device and look around, physically look around, which is kind of cool, as if you're standing in the room. If you're on a computer, I think you have to use your mouse or arrow keys to pan around manually, but it is still pretty neat. You get the perspective of being able to look around. With that being said, this is my DTG room, so of course I have my DTG printer in this room. This is the Epson SureColor F2100. This thing was a huge purchase for me. It's not cheap, but I think at the time it may have been a bit of a jump. But since then, I've been able to, overcome the learning curve and, make shirts. I mean, that's the whole point of it. I think as I grow, this has become a good purchase. When I bought it, maybe it was a bit premature, but I don't necessarily regret it. So, like I said, it does have a huge learning curve. You're going to go through a lot of shirts and just testing processes, testing this, testing that, until you get it figured out and dialed in. There's so many resources out there. I have a bunch of videos as well that you can check out. If you do have any questions, let me know, because it is a kind of a monster of a machine. With that being said, it's very low maintenance, very easy to use once you get past that curve, and pretty straightforward. So I do have this machine mounted, or I guess sitting on a Husky workbench. I got this bad boy from Home Depot. It's a little more than 200 bucks, but it's still cheaper than the desk or the stand that comes, with the Epson. I think that one's about 500. So with that 500, I was able to actually buy 2 of these Husky desks or workbenches, and these things are super nice because they come on casters. So if I choose to move anything down the road, I can just wheel it without having to worry about carrying the huge machine. So definitely would recommend. They also do have drawers, which you can store things in. For these drawers, I put my film transfers in there just because if I'm printing film transfers, they're just right there. So what else? Right here, I power the printer with my laptop, which I plug into the printer directly with a USB cable. This is the best way I've found to not have any connectivity issues or anything like that, just with a direct connection. And for the stand, I just use a 360 swivel mount that I got off Amazon that mounts directly onto the workbench. Super handy. I can get everything set up. Once it's done, I can just put it out of the way and then start printing. Next to me over here, these are going to be my heat presses. Like I said, they sit on another one of these Husky workbenches. I definitely do recommend these if you are looking for something sturdy, but something not too expensive to work on. With these drawers, I keep just parchment paper on them for pressing. My 2 machines, these are both Stahl's Hotronix heat presses. I definitely recommend them. They're great machines. The main reason I bought these is because this heat press is a 16 by 20, which typically is the biggest size that most prints go, for at least in the direct-to-garment. And it has a swing away and a pull out drawer with these quick change platens that you can pull these platens off, change it out with a different size or a sleeve platen or something, and then continue printing and pressing without too much hassle. So let's see. Behind it here this is going to be the hat press. I don't use it as often. It's only every once in a while, but when I do need it, it's again one of those things that's nice to have a specific hat press to get those curved shapes. So definitely would recommend Stahl's. I'll put a link in the description for their website. You can reach out to them about their equipment. Underneath, I just have a bunch of empty boxes. These are whenever I'm purchasing from like SS or something like that. I keep the empty boxes, so if I get a wholesale order from my customer, I can just put them back in these boxes and ship it, or hand deliver it. It just comes off a little bit better if you're presenting an item in a box rather than just a bag or something like that. Behind me here, this is my pre-treat machine. I do have a pre-treatment system that I do have separate in a different room. However, for hoodies, crew necks, if I'm just doing a front or just a one piece or something like that, I do recommend just having a pre-treat machine like this. You can hand spray things, but with what I've seen, it's very inconsistent. Some people have mastered it, so I'm not saying it's not the best method, but once you get to the point, I definitely do recommend something like this so you can get more consistent sprays and just get everything else dialed in. I don't know if I mentioned this is the Eco-Free Mr. T2. I did get this on sale, so it wasn't as expensive as it traditionally is, but I think it's maybe around $3,000 to $4,000 full price. So always look out Black Friday, holidays, stuff like that. You can get a good amount off, and I think you can also finance it from most places. This thing I like, the reason I bought this machine compared to a bunch of different other ones is because it does have a digital readout. That way you can dial in exactly how much pre-treat, almost to a T, how many milliliters or grams that you're putting on your shirt, which is one of the best things I can do, because previously I had a pre-treat machine with a small dial, and it was so hard to get consistent results after, you know, if I'm trying to repeat a job, I'll have to redial it in and figure out exactly where it was. So this thing is super nice to have, and it does allow up to 4 different pre-treatments or 4 different liquids to be sprayed, depending on which one you have activated. I keep 2 bottles filled with distilled water, and then the other 2 I use Firebird pre-treat. I use a light and a dark solution for light garments as well as black or dark shirts. So underneath I keep my DTF powder, my direct-to-film powder. I keep them in some totes. That way I don't have to worry about, you know, breathing them in unnecessarily, and I also can keep them as dry as I can. For the most part, I really don't have any issues storing them like that. Every once in a while, I'll, you know, throw this powder out and then refill it. So I only keep a little bit at a time in there. But these totes, I think, are the best way I found to store and use the powder. As for the top, this is just kind of just miscellaneous storage. These are actually for jobs that I have coming up. If you're in the industry, you know basically any flat surface becomes storage if you're not using it. So I do need to clean it up. With that being said, I am probably going to get rid of those here in a little bit once I get them printed. If you guys pan over this way, or if you guys spin around, I don't know which direction you're looking, this is going to be all my storage stuff for the DTG room. First thing is this wall-mounted pegboard. I'm going to keep all my small items that I use more frequently, like heat thermal tape, scissors, tape measure, lint rollers, whatever. It's all on this wall, so I can quickly grab it and use it if I need it. Next to it, this is going to be my storage in the closet for platens, both platens for my printer as well as the platens for the heat press, and then as well as extra parchment paper. And on the bottom, you might not be able to see, is just pre-treat for the pre-treat machine. Let's see, next to it we have this wooden shelf. This wooden shelf is going to be mostly maintenance stuff or small things like ink, cleaning cartridges, stuff like that, as well as the maintenance kit, the excess powder that I use for the totes that I mentioned, as well as just a bunch of different miscellaneous items that I don't necessarily use as often, but I definitely need access to, so I'm not, you know, I have it on the shelf to be able to use, but for the most part, I don't really need until, you know, I have to do maintenance or something. So last storage unit, this is just a wire rack that I have with a U-line covering on it. This thing's super nice to keep all the dust out, but this is for all my garments and stuff that I use or I have ready to print. Mainly I stock black and white shirts from small to 2X. That's what I keep there in the middle. This top is going to be just miscellaneous things, a couple hoodies, a couple beanies, a couple face masks, and a couple samples and things like that. At the bottom is going to be things that I have held on for customers that are, you know, they're either coming up with a design or whatever. I'm just holding on to them for them until they're ready to print. But for the most part, that is my storage space, and really that's the DTG room for the most part. It's fairly small. As for our workspace, I use these 2 desks typically. This one right here, this white one, is a foldable desk. It's very lightweight. So if I'm not using it, I can just fold it up, tuck it behind this workbench over here, and keep it out of the way. This wooden one is the same as the one in my embroidery room. I have 2 of them. They're on wheels, so it's super nice. I can easily move it around, but it isn't, unfortunately, too portable. So I can't really like fold it up. So this one kind of just stays out. The white one, depending on how big the job is or whatever, I'll bring that one out as some extra storage space. But with that being said, I think I covered everything. If you do have any questions about the embroidery room or the DTG room, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you learned something, maybe got some inspiration. I'll try to link everything that I use that I can find a link for, like this wire rack, the shelf cover, I don't know, the Husky workbenches. I'll leave that all in the description. I don't get paid off it. Just want to help you guys out. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you found it entertaining. At the very least, I hope you guys have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.